Get your coffee ready.
I'm leaving Logan to catch the tea. My destination, Newberry Street.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, I'm in Boston, and it feels so good. I'm so excited. I got my tickets to see the Pats play, and then the Celtics at a Fenway game, and it feels so good. And it feels so good. So good, so good. We bump our fists up in the air. So good, so good. We're living proud, so we shout it loud, and it feels so good. We spend the summer down at the Common, and in the winter we cheer the Bruins. The weather doesn't make the city, it's the people, and it feels so good. And it feels so good. So good, so good. We bump our fists up in the air. So good, so good. We're living proud, so we shout it loud, and it feels so good. And it feels so good. So good, so good. So we never really care. So good, so good. And we work all day and we play all night, and it feels so good. Well, on the Friday night, we're still satisfied. Yeah, so bang, so bottle round your head. She'll give you a smile when you talk for a while, but you're never gonna get in her bed. She's got a body of a goddess, mind like a man. She'll always tell you where she's staying. 'Cause she's been drinking with the boys, talking about them dirty things that she enjoys. She wears her shirts real low, her skirts real high.
Good morning, motherfuckers. How are you all today? I am Bumpa, and this is another wonderful edition of the Daily Pissah Morning Show. Hope everyone is doing well. I'm doing okay. Took me a little while to get set up here. I got my coffee. I'm going to give it a little bit of an Irish spring to it. That kind of morning. It's it's a good morning, a very good morning. I had a great weekend. Spent split time between work and the kids and family time, but it's a very good weekend. I got no complaints. You have any complaints? If you had a rough weekend, all I could say is good morning. Accept what it is, let go of what was, and have faith in what will be. Okay? That is my quote for you today. So I've got a bunch of great little things to talk about. We got a bunch of stuff I've collected over the last couple of days, stories and stuff, and a couple of things that Patty Cakes helped me with. But a lot of different interesting things that to talk about and expand on, so to speak. But I am going to start off with a funny video. If you're listening rather than watching, that's fine. Don't worry. You'll be able to hear it because it's a music video too. From the Holderness family. You'll find them on Facebook. Facebook.com/the THE Holderness HOLDERNESS family. And they have made a great family video. Funny as hell. Kind of describes today's terms with parents and kids. Parents even at our ages, when I say our ages, in the 40s, that definitely out of touch with today's children. This video will show it. Hold on one second.
My teenager came down yesterday.
Morning.
And said her mom can't part her hair this way. She said the side party's old for sure. And then she said, okay, boomer, sometimes I wish I could turn back time when wearing skinny jeans was fine, but now she's getting told throwing shade on her part, her side part, side part. When did this baggy jeans thing start? When did it start, baby? I like to text my girl this emoji, but now she is making fun of me. She says the crying laugh is so old, and now I'm supposed to use a skull, or I could say I can't, or I'm dead. I don't like that I have to be dead. Can't I just say ha ha, ha ha ha? I guess not. Why can't I cry when I laugh? When I laugh, this is crap. And now you're just making up trends. It never ends, baby. Quit making up trends. Baby, baby, the jeans that we had were so tight. What do you mean that they were canceled? Baby, baby, I'm not a boomer. That's my mom. You are factually wrong.
Hey guys, skinny jeans and side parts, guess what else that comes with? The ability to rent a car and to stay up past, I don't know, 9:30. I mean, I don't stay up past 9:30, but if I wanted to, no curfew. Okay, guess what else I know a secret code? It's called cursive.
Sometimes I wish I could turn back time when wearing skinny jeans was fine, and I like this part, this side part, baby. Quit throwing shade on her part, the side part, the side part. When did this baggy jeans thing start? The side part, baby.
The jeans she was so tight. What do you mean they cancel? Baby, baby, I'm not a boomer. That's my mom. You are actually wrong.
Dance. Dance. Keep going, Pen. Another move. A spin, a spin, a spin, Pen. One of these. Arms out spin. Beautiful.
Good entertainment for a Monday morning. Creative family right there. Had to share that. That came from Patty Cakes. Thank you. Phone cop checking in. Oh boy. You guys want to wear women's clothing, they shouldn't pretend it's skinny jeans. Right? Right? Oh my goodness. Oh. Here you see, this story here is pretty much as it says. Not his fault. Dad's an asshole. And the story really behind this is a 14-year-old boy. His name is Darren Bowling. And poor Darren here is out of Colorado. And was at a ice fishing tournament. And unfortunately the Conservation and Sporting Association that held this tournament, as well as the kid's father, Darren's father, had an ongoing issue. They bicker about a lot of things, as well as like it's a stupid $5 fee to enter the fishing tournament. The kid went to the fishing tournament, didn't have the $5, basically because supposedly the father dropped him off. Father dropped him off, went somewhere else. When the kid redshirted, he told the person that he didn't have the $5 with him because his father dropped him off. And then they said because he didn't have a vehicle, the whole thing is you're supposed to have the $5, the little card in the window that they paid for the competition. Put it in the window of the vehicle. But he didn't have a vehicle. So they told him, hey, don't worry about it, you don't need it. So he goes on to fish and comes in second place, catching like a over 2.5 pound trout. Comes in second place, which has a $500 reward, winning reward. Anyway, they disqualify him because they say that he failed to purchase and display the $5 recreation permit in the vehicle. He didn't have a vehicle with him at the time, but towards the end, when he won, the father showed back up and, of course, didn't have the permit in the window. So argument ensued about he didn't have it because he wasn't there type thing. And the father got upset, which rightfully so. So far, that I get that. So they called the sheriff's department, and the sheriff came out. But this is not the first time the father has taken issue with this conservation and sporting association. He always bickers about whatever fees they have in the past. So the sheriff shows up, the deputies show up, and they arrest Dad, not for the arguing or whatnot, but because he had an outstanding warrant. So Dad gets locked up on the warrant. Everyone feels bad for the kid because the kid didn't do anything, and people that were there kind of really sided with the kid. I mean, that's why I'm saying it's not his fault. Dad's an asshole, because to me that's what happened. The article about him explains that he's had arguments before with this the sporting association about fees and stuff like that. So him and one of the directors of it just don't get along. Period. So of course he shows back up, and like I said, the dad didn't have the permit or anything in the window. They're like, "Oh fuck it, you're disqualified," which isn't fair to the 14-year-old kid, because the kid, he did what he was supposed to do. Good morning, Patty. Casey, how are you? So the kid loses out the $500. Story gets around. People at the tournament and then other people online and stuff donated money. They gave him, basically he got $500 from donations and stuff for the kid. But like I said, the father himself is an asshole. So unfortunately, when you have if you're a parent, you're an ultimate dick or douche, whatever you want to call it. Your kids will lose out because of things like that. People don't want to associate with a parent with kids from parents that are a pain in the ass to deal with. And we all know him, It's like, oh, he's a great kid, but the father, he's an asshole. The mother, she's a real drama queen. You don't want them. There's no room for that in your life. That's not negativity. Nobody wants that shit. Oh. Well, anyway, do you have your coffee? I do. I have mine. I told you I put some Irish good stuff in there. So, yeah, all right, phone cop, totally a douche. But that's the way life goes sometimes. But unfortunately, thankfully, the locals picked up on it. Like I said, a lot of people contributed some money, donated money, and that really makes it easier. Frank A., the DJ. Cattle lost at sea. This is fucked up shit right here. This is out of Spain. And two, basically, large freight ships left Spain, two different ports in Spain, with livestock on it. Both of them had outbreaks of blue tongue, the bovine disease, blue tongue outbreaks on the ships. So wherever they were going, nobody would take them. They had gone to various countries, such as Turkey was one, Libya. I think they're back in Spain, but they're like off. They're anchored off the harbor. They're not allowed to dock yet. But it has been pushed 2 months now, over 2 months, that these cattle have been on the boats. They expect hundreds of, and each one are dead. No countries will accept them because they don't want the outbreak. They don't want diseased animals. I think poor planning on the company that shipped them. The guy, there was one particular owner who was trying to basically make money. Try to deliver them. They left. Oh my God, they left before Christmas, so they're still out there. And there's also a question about whether or not being fed, because neither of these ships have asked for any cattle feed, and it's been a long time. The but they have animal rights activists, vets and stuff trying to go out there, but the ships have not reached out to allow them to come on board yet. The owner of the ships hasn't decided what they're going to do yet. So all I could think of, and it shows that they've been on board for several, like I said, over 60 days. They've gone to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 different ports. They won't. None of them will let them in. Offload their cattle. So, like I said, they're on one ship. It's got almost 900 cattle. The other one's got like 1,200. That's a lot of dead cow. And if no one's going to let them in, what are they going to do? My 2 cents. They're going to dump them in the ocean. Mark my word, they're going to dump them in the ocean. Is that the easiest way to get rid of them? Right, phone cop. Stinky, man. That is going to be a stinky ship. But yeah, I think they're going to dump them off out into the ocean. That's they're going to feed the sharks with them, something of that nature. Because if no country wants them to come in and unload their fucking diseased animals. And again, like I said, poor planning on the departure part. Spain before Christmas, trying to offload them for quick money in other countries, didn't work. So, but the sad part, hundreds of cattle, thousands will die actually. So, this one comes from a nice rocket scientist. I like this one. I got Snuffy Coke out here in Massachusetts, Worcester, Massachusetts. A 34-year-old Puerto Rican man was recently sentenced to federal court for his role in a cocaine conspiracy. Now, they were busted by local police, but what happened is that the case went to federal. I'll explain that in a second. They were busted near a storage facility in Worcester. They had met up. There's an inside connection here because someone dropped the dime to the police. That's the only way they found them. But anyway, they were near a storage facility. Worcester police found them to be in possession of about 900 grams of coke. Excuse me. About 900 grams of coke. And if you're not familiar with grams versus ounces, hold on 1 second. Oh, itching my throat there. Sorry. 900 grams of coke is about 2 pounds of cocaine. 2 pounds of coke. Nice brick there. So basically, you could have easily handled at state level, state court, but you know what? You go to federal drug trafficking charges. Over 500 grams is serious jail time. And when I may say serious, we're talking a minimum of 5 years up to 40 years in federal prison for it. So it makes it much higher than they probably would only get five, like a 5-year max if they went to the state level, especially the way Massachusetts is. Yeah, a bit fuzzy in the metric shit. Yeah, that's why I figured I'd help you out on that one. I did the math for you. So that is, like I said, just shy of 2 pounds, 31 and 3/4 of a pound, 31.78 ounces. 32 ounces is 2 pounds. So, but that happened. The guy was just recently convicted. Sentencing has not taken place yet. And another gentleman. Yeah, there were 2 parties involved: William Torres and Melvin Burgos. Torres was actually sentenced to 5 years prison and 4 years supervised release. So, the 2 others involved, Melvin Burgos and Mr. Torres. Good luck. Oh well. We do stupid things, win stupid prizes. Especially there's like four different people involved there. Someone's diming out the cops to protect their own asses. So, I'm not one for helping the criminals, that's for sure. The criminals get what they deserve. But I just think that when you start getting more people involved in anything, it doesn't have to be a crime. Just party night, whatever your game night, the more people you have involved, the more shit's gonna go down. So something to keep in mind there.
The Wicked Pissah Show. Bumpa, Byron, and Patty Cakes. No bullshit talk radio. Wicked cool, wicked funny, wicked pissa.
This rock star with no fame, the way it is for everyone. God knows
If it isn't fresh, I'm out of business. Isn't that sweet, you little moneymaker, you?
Use new sweet fish every day. Keep that skunky cunt away. Use new sweet fish every day. Keep that skunky cunt away. Sweet fish.
All right, the welcome mat in one, I guess would be a apartment with flats, they call it, out in England, Essex, England. There is a council, basically the housing council for this complex. They are, I don't know, like witch hunters. Witch hunters would be a good way to explain it. But one woman, actually several of the tenants there, but this one, Rosa Edwards, is having a hard time with her welcome mat. The council, this housing council, finds that it's a tripping hazard because she has it in front of her doorstep. And the picture, this is not obviously not it, but even the picture, when I see in the picture, it's flat, down like it should be. It's only a tripping hazard if you walk within about 13 inches of her fucking front door. Anyway, the council has been doing it to everyone in the complex. The council has confiscated other people's mats and charged them £20 a day, which is about $28 a day for each day that they, each week. Each week that they store the mat, they charge £20. You know what? If you take my mat and you want 20 fucking pounds or something to keep it in storage, I can assure you by probably the first week, you can keep the fucking mat, period. I ain't paying you shit to hold my fucking welcome mat. I'll go out and buy another one. But they're out there. There's 3 people on this council that go around to the whole community and tell everyone they can't have, basically you can't have that. They're the housing police, They go around telling you what you can't have on your front door, front step. They even knocked on a neighbor's door to complain about hers too. Well, she fucking died like 2 weeks prior. It's a pathetic thing. If that's all you can do is go around to different neighbors and say, take your welcome mat off. They call it a tripping hazard. A welcome mat is right in front of your door. Okay, and from the couple pictures I see here, it's, like I said, it's like an apartment complex. And, the doors, in order to trip over the welcome mat, you have to be in front of that door. Like right there. It's all of, 14 or 18 inches wide of those mats. So and the way these places are designed, from what I can see, is that you have to walk up towards the door. Not if you're walking on the sidewalk, you're not going to trip on the mat. You're going to trip on the mat if you're at that door. But you're not going to trip on the mat because it's not, at least her mat was not curled up or anything. I could see if they had ongoing issues with bad mats, curled up, tripping people or whatever. Hey, then, then you bring up the point where your mat is a tripping hazard because it's curled up, bundled up, whatever the fuck it is, fix it. That's fine. But if you're just going around while everybody's got a mat out, that's against the rules. You can't have that here. Go fuck yourself. And that's, I knew somebody had bought a house, moved into like what do they call it? A subdivision, right? Which, subdivisions I'll never, ever understand. But the subdivision, you buy $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $700,000 house, wherever the hell it might be, right? You spend a fortune to move into this nice little neighborhood with a pretty brand new house, right? And so this guy wanted to put up a small little fence on the side. And so, he had a fencing company come out and all that. And while he's talking to the guy, someone from the housing association came out and told him, well, you can't have a fence here. He's like, what do you mean I can't have a fence here? This is my property. Well, oh, they explain the rules to him. Just because it's your property, you're not allowed to erect a fence, whatever. And the guy's trying to explain, well, I'm just trying to have some privacy or definition as far as like where my driveway and yard is versus the neighbors, all that. The guy said, well, you could put up some bushes if you want. And the bushes cost, 5 times as much as a fucking fence, because you need something that's going to last, especially in New England, something that's going to be growing year round. But, oh, no, you can't have that. Yeah, exactly, Jim. That's what Welcome Mat would have. Go fuck yourself. Exactly. If I lived in that neighborhood and that happened once, exactly what I would do is have some type of welcome mat like that. Go fuck yourself. Get the fuck out of here. Whatever. My fucking mat. Leave me alone. Things like that. Yeah, they can go fuck themselves. But yeah, like I'm saying, you move into certain subdivisions, or even a really nice townhouse type complex, whatever. And like townhouses, they're good for certain people that they don't want to do yard work. They don't want a whole lot of responsibility to property upkeep. That's what those are good for. But when you move into a townhouse, it's a condo, and condos are the same thing as an apartment. You don't own it. You might own your one little space, but what are you going to do with it? You can sell it to somebody else, but you can't do anything really with it. And what I'm trying to say is also like you can't. It's not like you go if you had a townhouse, you have a backyard. You can't really put up your own fence. There's different rules there. So going back to the subdivision where you own the house, the property, the rules there doesn't allow you to put up fences. You're limited to what you can do as far as other modifications. And why would you want to move into I wouldn't want to move into a neighborhood like that, especially if I could afford to $400,000, $600,000. I'd move into a neighborhood where I could do what the fuck I want with my property. You're gonna move into a neighborhood where you can't do what you fucking want with your property, and probably pay a small or good amount of some type of homeowners association fees, where maybe they mow the lawn and shit. I don't know, but that's just not worth it to me. Oh, I set bear traps at the front door. Yeah, there you go. I mean, how often would you get pissed if these people keep coming around? And in this article they have gone up to this lady several times. It's been an ongoing issue, not just with her, but with the whole place. This lady Rosa just chose to speak out about it. And the council, they stand up for their actions, saying that in order to keep people safe, just like any other council would do, they have a zero tolerance policy to personal items being left in communal areas, which is clearly shown in the tenancy agreement all tenants sign. Again, a welcome mat. So they consider that, like I said, a tripping hazard, concern for safety, and it's a personal item that cannot be left out. Whatever. If I'm paying God knows how much, I could have a fucking doormat out front if I want. I would not want to live in places like that. They say it includes doormats, plant pots, and other items like bicycles and shit like that. So if you live in this neighborhood, you got to live like a fucking refugee. Keep everything inside. So, oh, this is a good one. Oh, get ready, Byron. This is all you, bro. This is a new thing being in the works from the wonderful people in England. Ooh, I'm more and more glad we're separated from them. They're looking at a new way of heating homes through what they nicknamed this the Poo Power Scheme. What it is this it's a project that is they're looking to provide clean green heating to more than 2,000 homes utilizing. Oh, get this! Oh, I love it! It's going to utilize renewable heat from the sewer network. Basically, it's warm water that's running through the fucking sewer system, going to loop back around to houses to help heat up homes. You smell that little faint odor. Yeah, it smells like someone farted in here. No, that's just your heat. That I don't know. I can't really get on board with this. I'm all for trying to be green or whatever. They say the low carbon energy. I don't know how. I don't know. The basically clean warm water that has been through the sewage treatment work. The clean warm water that's been through the sewage treatment would be diverted back to a new energy through pipes. Now, this clean water, once it hits sewer, in my mind, is no longer clean. It's no longer clean. Now, you now take that clean, warm water, put it through sewer, you now have shit water coming out the other side, right? Right? So, that water is then going to continue through piping to warm up homes. I don't know how it's going to be pretty hot fucking water to last a few miles down the pipes. And going around. They call it groundbreaking. It is groundbreaking because nobody wants to do this kind of shit. No pun intended. But I would not really be on board with, they're eventually going to do the whole area. This guy, Kingston. What did I write? Was it Kingston? Kingston? Yeah, in the UK. I don't know. Yeah. So Cambridge Road Estate in Kingston. Anyway, I'm just like trying to make sense of it. Again, they're just reusing poop water sent through pipes to warm up other houses. I can get that, being hot water. You can provide some level of steam or something, whatever with it. It's going to go through houses, but that water is going to have at least a hint of shit. Am I right? It's going to have at least a hint of shit in that. You could put in hot water through shit. Going to come out the other end, hot water with shit, right? Might be clean at the first end. It's clean before you put it through the shit. Before you put it through the sewer lines, it's clean. It's no longer clean. And you're going to squeeze that shit through pipes, all right? And maybe you have a filter so it ain't clumps of shit ain't going with it. But it's still nasty fucking water that obviously would not be good for consumption, right? Because it's separate line. Yeah, that's gross. So, but that's why Dutch oven titled this one, because that's just, the home is gonna smell like one big Dutch oven. And you know what? Like, I don't know, somewhere. I guess hopefully the pipes work well. If the pipes work the way they should, there'll be no leaks. But there'll be a leak here and there. Yeah, you're gonna. Oh, we must have a heat leak. Smells like shit in here. Oh well, that's fucked up. Fucked up. I saw that one night. I'm like, I gotta talk about that. But let's not have any shit. Yeah. If your daughter brought this guy home for a date, what would you do? Now, I'm okay with tattoos. Don't get me wrong. Tattoos are cool. This motherfucker ain't cool. This motherfucker would not be going out with my daughter. No fucking way. I'll send that motherfucker packing. If this guy shows up at your house to pick up your daughter or your son, whatever way they swing, I guess, what would you do? Look at the kid, the loyalty. I don't even think it's fucking centered on his neck, right? His nickname is Zipperface. His name is Michael Pent. He got arrested recently after having a fight. Big surprise, right? Fight with his girlfriend at a motel, and a stage top motel. He was physically fighting with his girlfriend in the parking lot, yelling and screaming at her after wanting to use her cell phone. She said it was dead. Pushed her, shoved her, threw her around a bit. He admitted to the officers, he pushed her or whatever. He gets locked up on it. They're very obviously quite familiar with him, and I guess you really can't miss that, right? I don't know. How is it judgmental for me to say that? Is that I could not allow my daughter to date somebody like that. And I don't know, even if the guy came off as nice as fucking pie, I could not do it. Say, all right, let's flip it, say he's a girl, all right? That's a girl, put long hair on him. All right, that's a girl. What would you think if your son dated a girl like that? Same thing. No. I mean, obviously he's not going to get a job anytime soon. Uh, yeah, right. Number one sign of mental illness. So someone's daughter brought that home. She might have mental illness also. Right? Yeah. And like I said, it's not about the tattoos. I mean, it is at that extreme. It is. So the zipper face. It look like he's got the Jack skeleton thing going there. Cross on his forehead. A diamond. That's supposed to be a diamond on his brain because he doesn't have a bright brain. That's for sure. Um, and the way he cuts his eyebrows. See that? The way he's trimmed his eyebrows there. No, it's just stupid. I'm sure there's more retarded tattoos all over him. Um, you know, I don't. I just never make sense of stuff like that. Again, I'm not against tattoos. I'm just against overboard retardedness. Like there's no artistic stuff behind this either. There's nothing fancy artistic. There's no color. There's nothing pretty about this. There's nothing woo. I mean, it's just fucking ugly ass shit. So, but yeah, you'd have to really have some questions about that person. And I'll try not to be judgmental. But yeah, this is easy to be judgmental if someone brings that home, right? That's very easy. But I couldn't do it. Anyway, like I said, this guy, Michael Pent, a.k.a. Zipperface, as he's known to police, got locked up for that. He had a big history of domestic violence and heavy drug use. Yeah, think. Yeah, he got what he deserved, I guess. Oh, excuse me, sorry. I got an itch in my throat here. Almost over, folks. Oh, good timing here. Oh, yeah, this is a good one. So, as the picture says, defund the police, and as my title says, how's that working out for you? In many cities, it's not working out very well. San Francisco, some districts report a huge increase. Oh my gosh. I need more of my Irish coffee here. But anyway, one particular district saw a 340% spike in burglaries. If you pay attention to a lot of the news, many of the cities, like Seattle, Minneapolis, that were all like, on the forefront of police reform, jumped to it. And the problem really is, many experts, cops agree that is there room for police reform? Absolutely. It's how they're doing it that's not working. And when I say that, it's like, boom, today we're talking, we need police reform. And then the next 2 or 3 days, whatever city council, local government approves this reform. But it's not thought through. The process isn't thought through. It's like, okay, well, what happens if XYZ happens? Well, we haven't thought about that yet, or, well, who's going to handle it? Oh, it doesn't happen enough that, there's so many different things. And then, so San Fran reports, in this one particular district, Richmond district, they had 124 burglaries as of February 14th compared to 28 burglaries for the same period last year. A lot of different things are jumping up. Robberies, some assaults, motor vehicle thefts, arson. Everything jumped anywhere from 25% to 90% on that. And it's just a million fucking things just going up. But like I said, many cities have had that issue. They jumped on board to approve defund the police, and they have, they've had huge spikes. Some categories more than others, but still crime has gone up in quite a few places. And then cities that have had budget cuts for staffing because they want to bring on other services, whether it be the social worker or whatever else, put money towards homeless assistance, things like that, which, again, people aren't against helping people. It's how they do it. You can't reduce a police department by 30% and then expect nothing to happen on the crime aspect. In the story of San Francisco, the cuts are going to result in layoffs of 167 sworn officers. Now, that is huge. People don't, if you're already seeing a huge spike in crime, cutting officers is not going to be the answer. And the police reforms also, even in cities that don't have a budget personnel cut, those police reforms change how officers respond to things. They don't want them to arrest in certain crimes. They don't want, they want to prioritize things differently, which has resulted in things like here in San Francisco, huge spikes in other areas. If the cops aren't out everywhere they should be, burglaries are going to increase. Theft is going to increase because cops are just not out there. They're not visible, or they're too busy hugging a fucking baby or something. That's what they want. They want people to be, I don't know, walking at the city carnival or whatever, hugging and kissing people, while the rest of the city goes uncovered. Again, Seattle, one comes to mind. Minneapolis comes to mind. A lot of cities, Chicago, New York. New York almost did a huge, $1 billion budget cut to NYPD, and then just before they were going to do that, they stopped it because they had a huge uptick in crime, and because of their whole police reform thing. You saw all that shit with crimes. They were bailing everybody, and people were out right back on the street committing rape within days after being arrested for a rape before. 3 days ahead of time, they get picked up again for another rape after they were let out on no bail because they don't. That's the newest trend these days in many cities is we don't want to hold people on bail, so they don't hold anyone on bail. They go, okay, yeah, I'll come back. I raped somebody, I'll come back tomorrow. Boom, they're out. They rape somebody else, shoot somebody else, beat up somebody else, rob somebody else, whatever, and they get right back at it. They go back to jail. Well, they go back to court, and sometimes then, depending on who the judge is, let them out again. So that is police reform at its finest, and it's not working well at all. My last but not least is closings to be expected. You should know this shit. Everything's starting to open up, and just as things, today is March 1st, especially in Massachusetts, we get to go back to, I don't know what the fuck it is, phase 3, step 2, whatever it is we are. So a few more things get to reopen again, back to some bars and stuff like that. Obviously we're, I think, at 50% capacity instead of 25 we were at one point. But movie theater, I just took this picture out. I saw movie theater nearby here. Another movie theater I know of, a chain called Cinemagic. They're closing. The entire company's closing. They were temporarily closed because of COVID. Then they were going to reopen in the spring because that's when they figured, around now, between now and April, they were going to reopen. But then last week, they announced that they would be closing for good. And now people don't realize how much money these companies have lost. People just think, they'll shutter them, lay people off, they'll be all right. No, it doesn't work that way. They still have to pay rent. They still heat the buildings. There's still electricity. There's a lot of money still goes into running businesses. And whether it be something as large as this movie theater or something as small as a 300-foot retail store, you still have basic overhead. You still have to pay your rent. And then, going to the rent aspect, in Texas, they recently, a judge ruled that the moratorium they have on you can't evict people, ruled that was unconstitutional, that the government could not force landlords to not evict people. But that ruling is still being fought again. But the bigger picture really is, while you can't evict tenants, there's not a whole lot protecting the landlords, because remember, the landlords have mortgages as well. And I know there's a moratorium, I understand, on foreclosures, which nobody can foreclose on a house until, I don't know, June, I think, April, I don't know, it keeps changing, but last I knew, I think it was April, but it could be June now. But there would be no foreclosures. Banks couldn't foreclose anyone until spring. And while, okay, fine, but all those payments are not forgiven. All that interest, those payments back up. they can't evict you, or they can't foreclose your house or your properties, your residential properties you own if you're a landlord. No, they can't take those, but you're going to have this fat fucking bill afterwards. And if you have a tenant that's been there for 6, 12 months, hasn't paid any rent because they couldn't afford rent for the last 12 months. Well, once your mortgage company says, hey, pay the bill, we're going to foreclose on you, you're not going to be able to get 12 months worth of rent from all your tenants in 30 days to pay off your fucking mortgage that's back due, right? So that is a bigger problem. And while everyone can try to be sympathetic to people that struggling for rent money, you have to look at the other picture with a landlord, whether it be a single guy like myself, if I had a couple of apartment buildings or something, or a large company. Those large companies usually take mortgages out on properties as well, because that's honestly, if I was a multimillionaire and I had this huge development company and that's all I did, I bought apartment buildings and rented them out, I too would get a mortgage on it, because all that interest and shit right off, eventually my building will be paid for, but I'll make a muco buck. So it works. But, you got to keep in mind that both ends of it, rent, you can't get evicted, but your 2, 3, 4, 12 months of back due rent is going to be owed when this moratorium is over. So if you haven't paid rent in 10 fucking months and you owe 10 grand now or more, your landlord's going to come looking for it, say, hey, that moratorium's over, I want the rent in 30 days or you're out. And, you can try to argue all you want, but it's just not going to work, because, again, the landlord has bills they have to pay. And, if you don't get paid, it's out. Domino effects, exactly. Like these movie theaters, this other movie theater, the company's going belly up. They'll never reopen, because those things have huge rent too, and then the company had to pay, so it paid for some people to be unemployed, out of work. Their unemployment insurance will kick in for the most part. Then they end up just having to lay everybody off. It's just, this last call at 9:30 is bullshit. Oh, what did I miss that? Tons of mom and pop land. Yeah, exactly. The mom and pop landlords are being harmed, and it's just, like I said, the businesses, restaurants, bars, even stupid little small retail stores, Dollar Tree, a lot of, well, maybe not Dollar Tree, but a lot of stores, businesses are being hurt because of COVID. And now with a 50% occupancy, it makes it a little better. 25% was really impossible, especially for small restaurants. They have a very little seating area. If you have to have the either 6 feet apart or partitions between everybody, and even then you're only allowed to have 25% or 40% occupancy. You can't keep everybody. Every table. So you lose a lot. I mean, you already lost a lot because your bars closed, things like that. So these businesses are hurting. And then everyone's saying, well, we're opening up again. Yeah, but they've been hurting for 12, even if we give them a first few months, okay. They've been hurting for 8 months. They've been hurting. And, there's very little aid out there. And a lot of companies that shouldn't have got aid. People fucking milk the system wrong. And so a lot of companies that could use that money didn't get it. So, but it's just, do not be surprised. A lot of retail chains are closing up. They'll continue to close because of the poor holiday season. The holidays is their moneymaker period. So now that everything is the balance sheets are getting reconciled, spring now by July, between now to July, a lot more retailers will close, because retailers live on a very narrow margin. Especially the bigger the company, although they make more money because they're bigger, but their profit margin percentage wise is usually very narrow. So it doesn't take much to lose money, especially when they have hundreds of millions in assets like buildings and shit like that, logistics, distribution centers, all that stuff they have to pay for. huge overhead. So it's just like I said, a movie theater, more movie theaters all across the country are closing, and so that's going to leave us a big gap. And slowly, I'm sure other companies will try to take in on that space. But it's just sad. A lot of these places are long-term memories, but maybe another company will just buy them out, and because they are fairly remodeled, all of them modern movie theaters today. They constantly getting remodeled with better seating. So. But that is all I have for today, folks. If you have anything to add in, thanks for joining in the chat. Same with the stimulus shit. Don't think the government business don't have a plan to gain the money back with the pay. And that just got approved. They've only got about $1,400. Give more depending on what you got. Kids, don't get kids. You make too much money, you don't get anything. You may have $100,000. I don't think you're going to get anything. You get $1,400 per person, and maybe per kid. I forget how that works. But yeah, like Jim says, domino effects. It's not just the restaurants. Now the companies that provide food to the restaurants, they have to have layoffs. Bars, because the bars and restaurants. Let's look at like alcohol distribution. Beers and stuff. If they can't serve as much as they normally do, they're not going to order as much. Not going to order as much. The beer driver, the Budweiser truck ain't coming around as much. Why? Because the company that they work for laid off a bunch. So people are laid off all over the place. And there will be layoffs because companies, like I said, when those balance sheets really start to add up or not add up, people are going to get cut. Jobs are going to get cut. Businesses are going to close. And even these retailers or other big companies we talked about, although they may be doing okay, remember, the bigger the company, the more investors there are. The more investors, there's more pockets that need to be lined. They want their money. And if the company can't kick back into a dividends or some type of payout or earnings on their stock, they're going to trim the fat elsewhere. And that fat elsewhere is through employees. And that, tie in real quick. I hate to go again, but real quick to the minimum wage thing. And I know Byron here might chime in on that. The minimum wage is always an issue because while, yes, we wish everyone could make more money, it's just not realistic. There are a lot of states where minimum wage is still $7.25 or $7.50 an hour or something. So say in that state, I don't know, Alabama. Yeah, I'm in Alabama. I work for a company and I make it $7.20. I'm good. I'm a good employee. I make $9 an hour. Okay, so I make $9 an hour. And then some girl in the office who was a receptionist makes $13, $14, $15 an hour. She makes $15 an hour. She's been with the company like say 4, 5, 6 years. Does a real good job. But it is down south, right? So she's only making $13 or $14 an hour in the office. Maybe she could even be office manager, but $14, $15 an hour down south is a decent pay. So now she's been at her job. She's the office manager, making $15 an hour, and now you want burger flippers to make $15 an hour to start. Okay, so now where does this little Mary Lou? What does her pay go to? If minimum wage is now $15 an hour, do you keep your employee, whether it be a receptionist, it could be the burger flipper supervisor, right? The burger flipper supervisor is only making $10 an hour, now has to get paid at least $15 an hour, the same as just the fry boy, right? The guy making the fries has to make $15 an hour. So now where do you put the pay of your supervisor? If he was, say, $2 an hour more before, so now what? You're going to make him $17 an hour and $15 an hour. Okay? Now, all right, you look at that. Yep, that's what they do. Boom, boom. No problem, right? Well, you're not thinking the math part where the company just gave this young supervisor, a $7 an hour raise to be competitive over the new employee at 15. $7 an hour raise. And, over a week, another $280 a week, right? Yeah, another $280 a week on his paycheck. Now, some people say, oh, well, these chains, whatever franchise, usually, but there are a lot of these are mom and pop too. And even franchises are also owned by mom and pop. Even a big franchise. McDonald's is not owned by McDonald's. McDonald's is owned by Jim and Mary Smith, who own 4 or 5 McDonald's. Yes, Jim and Mary Smith might have some decent money because they own 4 or 5 McDonald's, but they're just 4 or 5 McDonald's. You know, they're still relatively a small business. They might be making good money, but now you're taking away from that money. You know what I mean? You know, when you shove $15 an hour up the ass for these fast food places, you're not shoving it up McDonald's ass. McDonald's don't give a fuck. McDonald's still going to make their money because after all said and done, they still get their percentage of royalties off their, the profits, all the packaging, food and shit you have to order through them. They get a piece of the pie on that. They're not going to give a shit about that. So people saying, well, McDonald's can afford this, Burger King can afford to pay more. But Burger King and McDonald's are not the ones that are going to fucking pay this. Okay, McDonald's not. It's the people that own the franchises that are going to pay for it. Now, if I were to own these franchises, would I be making money? Absolutely. But you don't make as much money as people think. They do a lot of money in revenue because it's McDonald's. But a lot of that money goes to the food costs, the packaging, the cups, all that shit you have to buy through them. You have to buy through their vendors or whatever. And a portion of all that purchasing, all that money goes to them. Also, most physical locations are owned by McDonald's Realty or whatever they call it. McDonald's is a giant realtor on top of the franchise. All they do is they make money off of everything without having to fucking operate anything. You know what I mean? All they do distribution because you have to pay them for all your shit, and then they make money off of selling because it's their name, and they make money off of your restaurant. You pay them basically rent, a lease fee for everything. They make a lot of fucking money. But again, when you jack up minimum wage, it is not McDonald's that's going to pay it. It is the individual owners, the franchisees. And so you're not punishing McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, whatever. You are punishing the individual franchisee. And again, that's only a small part of it. We always talk about burger flippers and shit like that, but it's still other aspects of minimum wage increase. It involves everybody. It doesn't only target fast food. While the fast food people are the ones always fighting about it, because I think the majority of the minimum wage earners are fast food employees. You work for a retail store. Most retail stores pay over minimum wage. Not a lot, but they do pay a little over minimum wage. Fast food places are typically the ones that pay at the minimum wage. And, again, when you bump up minimum wage, though, across the board like this, it's going to affect everybody. It's going to affect the store stock kid that getting paid $12 an hour instead of $7.25, which to him is a really good pay. Now, okay, yeah, he's going to be happy with the minimum wage being $15 an hour. But again, now you're bringing him up to other employees that have worked 8 years or more to get the $15 an hour, and just the new guy gets $15 an hour. How is that? How does that work towards anybody else? So, yeah, some people are going to expect that it trickle upward, and some companies may trickle it upward, but it's not in the way you think. I mean, like, if I were making $5 more an hour, say, if I'm making 15 now, the other kid's making 10, put him at 15, is my boss going to put me at $20 an hour, like just like that? Because minimum, no, I mean, I'll be lucky to get $21 an hour, right? Isn't that how it works? So that you're not going to see that massive increase. I think there's a lot of things that people are not looking at is the upper end of this. The upper end of it being that, all right, what about the people that already make $15 an hour or $13, $14 an hour who are over minimum wage already? Now you're going to put someone who is happy, everyone wants more money, but is okay with whatever job they're doing at $13, $14 an hour. They get decent pay, blah, blah, blah. Now you're going to push them at $15 an hour where everybody else gets it. It's just, you're not thinking it. If you're and like I said, the fast food workers are the biggest ones that are fighting for it. But it's like 86% or something like that. 84, 86% of all fast food workers are part-time. You're a part-time employee. It is not meant to be a livable fucking job. It's not a livable wage at a part-time job. You could bitch all you want. It's not $15 an hour, blah, blah, blah. I can't live like this. You can't live like it because it's a part-time job. If it's a part-time job at $8, $9 an hour, it's not meant to be fucking livable. Okay? Now, if you want to fight for changes on minimum wage for full-time employees, that actually might make more sense to a lot of people. If you push for, if you work minimum 32 hours a week, you need to get this minimum wage. You know what? If you get 32 hours a week, you should get a little more, right? Opposed to the kid that shows up 2 times a week for 4 hours, 8 hours total, right? That kid who's out of high school or whatever, he only works 2 days a week after football practice or whatever. He doesn't need fucking $15 an hour. Fucking kid needs gas money. That's it. But it's mind-blowing. It's not meant to be livable wage on a part-time job. And 80+% of these fast food jobs, and I keep bringing up fast food because I know it's going to affect everybody in all categories, but in fast food because they're the biggest voices out there about the minimum wage because they make up the largest part of the minimum wage pool, but they are also the most part-timers. You know what I mean? The 80-something% of fast food workers are part-time employees. They're part-time. They're not meant to make all that fucking money. They're not. It's supplemental income at best. It's just, and Jim says it's going to raise the price to cover their costs. Exactly. More tax and gain the stimulus back, right? But it's only, you talk about as he said, it's going to cover, you have to cover their costs. Another perfect example is supermarkets. Okay, supermarkets, a lot of them pay barely over minimum wage. Some they pay like maybe 50 cents more than minimum wage. Some are at minimum wage, but supermarkets traditionally have 3 to 5% profit margin. 3 to 5. That's it. 3 to 5%. Huge overhead. They get these large stores, a distribution network, huge fucking overhead. And when you have 3 to 5% profit margin after all said and done, that can be good for these big companies that are raking in, that are doing hundreds of millions of dollars in sales that nets them a nice, $50 million profit after all said and done. But when you ultimately look at, they did like nearly $1 billion in sales or something, everything's written off as an expense and they come out with this much. That's not a whole lot. But they're happy as long as they make a profit, they're good. But when you only have a profit this much, and then you add in the increased wages, you're taking away from that. Now, because in any company, the biggest expense typically is payroll. Payroll is the biggest expense for almost any company. And same thing with the supermarkets. Like I said, narrow margin. You're now going to take a huge chunk out of that little tiny margin to pay employees $3, $4, $5, $6 more an hour. People are not recognizing it. It is going to hurt the companies. They are going to be layoffs, and some companies are already like very lean. They're already minimum staffed or things like that. So when that happens, when they get down to the leanest point where bare minimum staffing, then they take it out on their prices. They find other places to make that money to recover their loss. And people don't get it. But Jim, exactly. People don't get it. Just like gas only makes 3 to 10 cents a gallon. Exactly. Very tiny profit margin. Gas stations make money because they sell hundreds of thousands of gallons a month. So is there money there? There is, but it's not as profitable as you think. They're not making $3 a fucking gallon. They take a tiny little chip of that because of the actual cost of it, and then the expenses, the operating and stuff like that. After all said and done, they only make pennies on the gallon, and people don't recognize it. So when you're only making pennies on the gallon and you're adding dollars per hour to their employees, that affects the bottom line. So if I own a gas, let's go to Jim here, the gas station. If I own a gas station and, you know, after all said and done, and maybe I'm the owner, I cut myself a check, you know, I managed to get a decent management paycheck out of that. I own it. And then on top of that, you know, every week or so, I'm making a few $100 profit that I bank up for the end of the year or whatever. All right. So now I'm only making $400, $500, $600 net profit at the end of a week, say. But now I got to pay my employees even more. I got a couple of guys working for me to cover all the shifts or whatever. So now that shifts into I'm only making a couple hundred extra. If I'm breaking even or barely making any profit, why the fuck would I own a business? You know, same thing with the McDonald's. It's profitable because there's a lot of money, but you know there's that little margin. Now that margin is going to get squeezed even more with the increased wages. Why the fuck would I want to own a business? Why the fuck, you know, at least that particular business? Fucking, you know what? I'm all set with this. Hey, Ronald McDonald, have the fucking places. I'm done closing. See you later. You know, to me, that's what would happen. And I see that happening, especially with a lot of these franchises like a Burger King, McDonald's. Some of these locations, believe it or not, are struggling. There are some of these locations that don't do as well as others. You know, some of their more rural areas or just don't simply do the volume that you think they do. Every location is so different. And so when they're hurting from not only the COVID, now coming right out of the gate of COVID, fucking, we've been suffering for a year in COVID, and boom, you want to slam them up the ass with a fucking minimum wage hike. Hello? That's all I got. Have a good day, folks.
It's over. Look at what we've done. There are times when things may get too hard. Just wanna go on there just to get rid of your cards. Say the grass is greener on the other side, but you say that you don't know 'cause you can't afford the ride. Well, don't say it's over until it's over. Look at what we've done. It takes a lifetime to have such a good time.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.